Now we begin the ritual.
Oh, crap. Alright, guys. Today we are working on a yoga basics video. And we talk about how you place your feet on the floor. Now, why is the way that you place your feet on the floor, why would this be important? Like, what what does this have to do with really anything? Well, it comes to one of the ideas actually, and this is a kind of a focus on one of the limbs of yoga, with a focus on posture. Now, posture usually is typically thought of as the way in which you move your body, and there's very set postures that many of you guys are probably familiar with. Downward facing dog, kind of like in that V. Upward facing dog, where your back is kind of arched and you're trying to bring your shoulders back to your heels, but and these are some of the traditional postures that you'll see: Warrior A, Warrior B. You may have heard of some of these, you may not have heard of any of these, but nonetheless, the idea being that posture isn't only the way in which, ooh, interesting spider, deadly spiders living all around you. Posture isn't only just the way of when you're in a yoga practice itself, of moving your bodies in specific positions and aligning and readjusting not only the spine but all the energy within you. It's also the way that you carry and conduct yourself. So as most of us probably know in day-to-day life, people will say that, oh, make sure that your posture is straight, or that you've got good posture. And typically the idea here is that your spine is erect, you're standing up nice and tall, the top of your head aligns with the base of your spine, you're kind of in terms of the way your body's positioned, and so on and so forth. You're engaging your core, engaging your lower back, just all of the muscles are kind of engaged so that your spine is aligned straight. Well, posture can also refer to the way you place your feet on the ground, because your feet, the way you have your feet on the ground, refers to how the rest of your body will be. So when you have proper posture, there's multiple ways that we can be on our feet. We could be on our tippy toes, like so. Yep, so tippy toes. You can be on your heels, right? So we can be on the heels of our feet, we can be on the balls of our feet, and so on and so forth. So just take a bit of awareness to it. One of the things, as I study posture more and more for myself, is that I'll notice that there's a really big difference if I have my weight more on my heels than if I have my weight more on my toes. And not only in the sense of the way it feels on my body, but also in my mindset. So this is a really critical topic, that the way you position your body actually can change your mindset, right? So what I've noticed for myself, and I encourage you guys to try this out on your own, because I may have a different experience than you, and you might find something about yourself just through this practice in and of itself. What I found for me is that if I'm standing in a normal day, I usually work at a standing desk. So when I'm working, sometimes of the day I'll be standing. Other times of the day, you'll actually find me like below the desk and so on and so. I love working in all these crazy ways, but that's a huge digression. Now, getting to the point in and of itself is that if I am standing more on my heels, I notice that I kind of tend to slow down in my momentum of the day. In other words, I take things a little bit slower. I will start to get more in my head, and I'll actually think back a little bit more. I'll look back into my past. I'll replay thoughts, memories, ideas a little bit more. This is what I've noticed about myself. Now, if I'm on the balls of my feet throughout the day, or if I press the weight of my body more so into the balls of my feet, I feel a sense of movement and in momentum more. I found that I'm just sharper a lot more of the time, in the sense of, bam, get this thing done, then this thing, then this thing, then this thing. It's just sharp. So I've noticed a huge difference just by noticing and observing that. And there's even are you on the outsides of your feet, or are you on the insides of your feet? When I've noticed I'm on the outsides of my feet, I feel like a little bit more off balanced, not as grounded really. I feel a lot lighter. Like, so I typically, when I'm on the outsides of my feet, what I've noticed about myself is kind of more thoughts are a little bit more up in the air. and so on and so forth. Whereas when I'm more so on the balls of my feet or on the insides of my feet, I feel a bit more grounded. I feel like kind of anchored. And one really, really cool thing that I've noticed and I continue to observe as I walk around in all types of venues. So this could be in the office, this could be at a bar, it could be in the grocery store, it could be while I'm just walking the streets of the city during the day. It doesn't matter. Is bringing more attention to this. In other words, where do I want to be, right? So there's certain times where it's actually helpful to kind of be more so a little bit on the outsides of my feet, thinking a little bit more high level and more up and high in the sky. Other times it's really beneficial to take a step back or literally kind of feel on my heels a little bit more and like kind of like, yeah, this is exactly how things should be. Other times I'll be like, all right, let's go. And I want to be on the balls of my feet. So it's really, really important to think through, just observe and play around with this a little bit more. And this is just very cursory, right? So, I mean, those are just kind of like the four cardinal directions, but you could be on like the northwest of your feet, kind of like standing in between the outside and the ball, right? So not the ball, but like on your toes. So you could be on that angle with one foot, and then the other one you could be on with the ball. So just play around with this a little bit more to get some more observation as to what really happened, what goes on when you do this. One big key thing that I wanted to leave you guys with is one thing to stay grounded for myself, because that's something I tend to be more up in the sky, being like, oh yeah, look at things over here, we're angels. But in all seriousness, is to ground myself a little bit more. I'll really feel the balls of my feet as I'm walking around, and I'll feel that there's like a hook at the ball, like at the bottom of my feet. So like I've got the ball of my foot here. I'll feel like there's a hook coming down into the ground, and it's kind of just hooking the ground, so that wherever I go, it almost feels like it's like Velcro. And I'll just focus on that feeling of walking around with that sense of like a hook on the ball of my foot. It grounds me more. It keeps me more kind of like my feet just feel more engaged, and I just feel ready to move around. It's a little bit easier to maneuver and such. So wanted to leave you guys with this. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know you did. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Let me know what else you guys are interested in terms of yoga basics. I mean, I could go through a whole practice with you guys and so on and so forth, but I've particularly found these small little tidbits are a little bit more interesting and not necessarily always covered. So with that, remember, keep up, thrive, and stay safe.